So what I was wanting to, that one detail that I wanted to tell you guys was on the day that Terry walked into the orphanage and stole everything and kicked out all the staff and abandoned the children. He had called the police and made a false report that my friend had been physically harming and abusing the children. So my friend, you know, she was hauled off to jail. She was taken to jail. And it happened when my friend was, she had been traveling to, like, she was making her way to the orphanage. And when she got to the orphanage, the police were waiting there for her. And the children were there, right? And Terry had accused my friend of physically being a horrendous person to the kids. And so they took her to jail. And this and the kids, my friend was explaining to me what was happening as she was being arrested. She said that all the children started crying and they were begging the police not to take her. She said that the kids were crying, Nancy. They were crying their eyes out because they knew that police were here to take me. So that I didn't know what else to do. I mean, I couldn't help them. I couldn't calm them down. I felt so terrible. They were crying their eyes out and they were begging the police not to take me. And the kids were even telling the police, no, she doesn't hurt us. She doesn't harm us. She's good to us. We love her. Please don't let her go. I mean, don't take her. My friend said that she was on her way with some rice to go and feed the kids. And when she got there, the plans had changed because Terry had called the police and made a false report that she had been abusing the kids. So they took my friend to jail, and my friend said that at some point the children, the authorities had gathered the children, and I don't remember how she worded it because it was so long ago, but a judge, they arranged for it so that a judge would interview those kids. And oops, I almost said something I wasn't supposed to say. So my friend, it was just, yeah, something, it was, that it's a detail that I wasn't supposed to say, okay? But so I almost said it. It's to preserve people's privacy. So my friend said that at some point a judge was interviewing all the children. And the judge ended up releasing my friend. And releasing my friend. And why? Because all of the children told the judge that what was said about my friend was a lie, and that she is actually a wonderful human being, and she treats them like their mother. She treats them like her own children, and she acts like their mother. Right? So she was released on that same day. She was released. And then my friend said that it was chaos because there were so many children to be taken care of at the orphanage, and all the staff were gone. They were all gone. So she had to do her best to call up everybody and bring them back, and not everybody agreed to come back because of the fear that they had from what Terry had done to them. Right? So my friend was at least able to get some of the staff to come back to care for those kids, and the thing is, it was their priority to take care of those kids even though they hadn't gotten paid. So then I asked my friend, okay, so did you report Terry to the police and everything that just happened? Did you report the theft and everything that he took? And she said, yes, I did. Me and everybody else made police reports, and so they're looking for him and they haven't found him. And guys, this happened at least 5 years ago. And I once in a while I will ask, like, I'm still in contact with my friend. Up until this day, they still haven't found him to deal with him. And I said, you know what? To my friend, don't worry, because God is giving him an opportunity to make things right before it's too late for him. And now my friend is no longer working for this orphanage. She had to leave that orphanage because, even though her name was cleared, now there were rumors about her being a bad person to kids. So she had to disassociate herself from this orphanage, and now she's working for another one. Isn't that sad, guys? How your name can be tarnished by the act of one person? The act of one person. That's why God, in the Bible, God says that our tongues have the power to give life and the power to give death. Whatever we say has great effects on the person that we're talking about. So that's why we have to be very careful. This Terry caused a lot of damage to my friend's name. It was chaotic. He caused a tremendous amount of damage to her reputation. And she had to end up leaving that orphanage because, she was no longer trusted by, chatter, people talking. Chatter means talking. Some people don't know what that means. Chatter, C for cat, H for house, A for apple, T for Tom, T for Tom, E for Edward, R for Robert. Chatter. That's talking, gossip. Sorry, guys. So, what else? There's some more details. So my friend is, she's now working for this other orphanage, and they're still struggling, but she is really doing the best that she can with whatever, with the funding that they receive. They do their best, right? And there was something else that I wanted to say that was important. Oh yes, this is what I wanted to say. Okay, so right after I managed to reconnect with my friend, and then I was able to help her reconnect with the other friends. I was still in contact with the director. So I made it like I was upset with him, but I wasn't going to, I was upset, but I'm not the type to blow up or anything, right? That's just my personality. I'm very calm. So I contacted my friend. I contacted Terry, and I made it so that he didn't know that I knew everything. I just let him know that I knew some things, because I didn't want to scare him away right away. But I did give him the understanding that I knew that he had committed some very serious acts, but I wasn't specific. So I contacted Terry and I said, "Hi Terry, what's up? What's going on?" And then I got specific, and I told him I knew what was going on. Like I said, I didn't let him know everything that I knew. I just gave him the understanding that I understood that he had committed some serious crimes. So in my conversation, I said, "Terry, look, I am not mad at you, but I want you to understand something. What you have committed are acts that are very, very serious. And do you have any understanding of the kind of trouble that you are in right now with God?" I said, "You, as a Christian, you being someone who knows who the living God is and the power that he has to do whatever he wants with your life, and you would still commit these acts. Are you not afraid of this living God?" That's what I asked him. "Do you understand?" I said, "You know full well that there is a heaven and that there is a hell, but you would still commit these acts knowing full well that if you die right now, you would go to an eternity that you will regret." And I said, "Won't you please turn around, turn your life around, turn your back from what you've done, turn your back from the wickedness, and run to God before it's too late." Okay, so I was telling my friend these things. Well, I say my friend because, up until I learned about what he had done, I considered him my friend. I considered him my friend, and he was, because he was an honorable person. I saw the condition of his soul. He was pure, 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 up until when God showed me that darkness. That's why I will accidentally say my friend. Okay? So I was telling Terry all these things. And I said, Terry, I'm concerned for your soul. I'm concerned for the state of your soul. I don't want you to go to hell. I'm not saying this to you in order to scare you, or in order to try and force you to do something that I want. No, I'm trying to help you to understand that your acts, the acts that you just did, will end you up in hell, unless you confess, unless you make your life right, unless you get right with God, unless you correct what you have done, unless you go to the people that you have committed offenses against and make things right, because that is where you're headed. And to me, it makes no sense for someone like you. Also, you are someone who operates very powerfully in the prophetic, so I don't understand why, you knowing that there is a hell and a heaven, there's a heaven and a hell, why you would still just suddenly start living for darkness. Now I say that the reason why I say that he operates powerfully in the prophetic is because when him and I were having the business relationship, there were times when he would prophesy over me, and these were things that were accurate. They were accurate things. He would say things that were accurate about my life, things that he didn't know. And I said, hey, you're a prophet. I mean, you guys, I don't know if he was a prophet. All I know is that he probably was. But he had a very powerful, he had a very accurate ability in the prophetic. So I was very disappointed when I found out that he had done these things, and he is this person who operates, in this, at this level in the prophetic. So yeah, so it was very sad. So I told Terry, all these warnings, and then I said, Terry, like after I was finished pleading with him, after I was finished pleading with him to please just listen to me, please. I don't want you to go to hell. Just you don't have to live your life like this. Just turn around. It's not too late. And at the end of the conversation, I sent him a video. I might have sent him two, but it was a video about people who have been to hell, and given testimonies about what they have seen, things that they have experienced, And I said to my friend Terry, please, I ask that you would please watch this. Again, I'm not mad at you. I forgive you. My concern is for your soul. Please watch the video. Just watch it. You don't lose anything. You lose nothing by watching it. And then, guys, you know what he did? He blocked me out. He didn't respond. He did not respond back to me, but instead he blocked me out. So when he blocked me out, I knew that it was hopeless. And the thing is, because guys, I already knew the condition of his heart. Even when I was writing to him, I already knew. I could see the condition of his heart. I could see directly the state of his heart. Everything that I was telling him, no matter how much I was begging him, I could still see that he was still, he had already made up his mind about not turning his life back to God, but remaining in this world, like in the wicked things that he had just done. It's not like I didn't know that he had made up that decision already. When I was talking to him, it was just I was just begging him for the sake of begging him, guys, because I was fearful for his soul, because I already knew that he had made up his mind about not turning away from darkness, but to continue on living in the devil. I already knew. I was just telling him what I told him so that he would understand. Everything that I was writing down, he would take it into his eyes, into his brain, and comprehend, this is what you're facing. But I already knew that it was, at that point, he was not willing. He was he had completely made up his mind. No, I'm not going to listen to what you say. I don't want to go back to God. I am happy with what I'm doing. So that's why I was so grieved, and I was begging him, even though I knew he had already made up his mind about how he wanted to continue on living his life. Okay, and it's been 5 years, guys, 5 or 6 years, and he is still living his life in this way. Let me tell you something else that I meant to tell you earlier. At around the time, like shortly before God gave me that experience where I was given knowledge of the condition of his heart and soul, within, like shortly before those days happened, it happened within that month, Terry had been just suddenly, so he had been sending me messages about, hey, Nancy, is there any way that you can get me down to Canada? And I said, well, I can't get you down to Canada. Actually, I can, but I had no intentions of doing that. I wasn't going to do that for him. Not because, like at that point in time, I didn't know that he was involved in darkness. But the way I operate, I know who I want to help and why, right? Like, how do I say it? Like, I know, like, God always tells me, even if the person is good, he will tell me, well, Nancy, I know that you would like to help this person in this way, but that help is not going to come from you. So do not move forward with the help that you want to give them. That's what I mean. So whenever I want to help someone, the Lord will at times tell me, no, Nancy, that's not for you to do. You just leave it up to me. So that's what I mean by when I said I had no intentions of helping him come to Canada, although I could. I had no intentions because of what God was telling me. At that time, he was telling me, no, Nancy, that's not for you to do. So when, before the time that God gave me the ability to, not the ability, but before he gave me that experience that allowed me to see the condition of his heart and his soul, Terry had been sending me many messages, and he was very desperate. And I was wondering, what is going on with him? Why is he so desperate? Because every message had to do with asking me to find some way to help him come down here. Okay, because they are in Uganda. And he was asking me all kinds of questions. Can you try this way? Can you try that way? Can you try that way? What about this way? What about this avenue? What about this path? And I said, Terry, none of those paths, none of those ways are going to help you come down here, because there are certain steps that you need to take before you'll even be allowed or given permission to come to Canada. You have to take certain steps. Okay, and the thing is, no matter how many times I told Terry what he needs to do, he would then send me another email and say, okay, well, what about this? Well, what about that? In my mind, I'm like, isn't he paying any attention? I keep telling him it doesn't matter who or what organization you would like for them to try and help you come here, because it's not going to work. And I would give him details for why it wouldn't work. I used to work for immigration, guys, and my father used to work for immigration too. So I know what I'm talking about. So I explained these things to Terry, but he wasn't listening. And then Terry was also asking me to send him, I think he was asking me to send him something. It was either money or oh, I think it was something of value. It was either money, or jewelry, because I have a jewelry business. And he was asking me for this, to send him some things in order for him to sell, to go towards benefiting the orphanage. But I didn't realize that he, at that time, that he had already started, living in darkness. So his desperation for me to get him down here was for selfish purposes. He wanted to come down here because he wanted a better life, right? At no matter what the cost, his intentions were to come down here and get a better life at the cost of somebody else. He was planning on using other people once he came to Canada. And that's why also he was asking me to send him, it was either money or jewelry, but I think now it was more the jewelry. To me, I'm remembering a little bit more. It was something like an object, but of something that has a lot of value. So that he was asking me to send him these things so that he could use the profits for the benefits of the orphanage, when really it was for him. So then on that day, when God said, Nancy, you are not to host Terry should he come to Canada. I also realized when the Lord said that, okay, actually, when I realized, when God said that to me, and then when my friend told me about the crazy stuff that happened, then I understood why Terry was so desperate for me to send him money or jewelry. Because if he stole everything that was not bolted to the ground in the orphanage, of course he's going to try and steal from people who don't yet know what he was doing. He was stealing my friend, the girl that was at the orphanage. She told me that this person stole all of the packages and the money that was coming in to the orphanage. He was in charge. He had access. He was the only one that had access to the bank, to the funds. Okay, so that's how he was able to steal so much. He was the director. He had power there. He had authority. So he kicked everybody out, stole whatever he could, and then took the money from the bank, from their bank account. And you know what, guys? Also within that time when he was asking me for money or jewelry, he started asking me for my photos. I'm like, what do you want my photo for? I'm like, what is going on here? We have a professional relationship and you're asking me for my photos? I said, why do you want my photos? Because guys, at the time, I never posted any photos of myself on Facebook. I only had one photo and that was it. That was it. I never posted anything else. It was just me. I mean, it was just stuff about Christianity and educational information, informative information, things that help people in some way. Christian messages or like tutorial videos, things that interest people, things that you learn from. And I only had one photo, which was my cover photo. It was either my cover photo, I think my cover photo and, yeah, my cover photo and my profile photo. Just 2 pictures of me. So he started asking me for photos of me. And I'm like, why do you want a photo of me? I just want a photo of you. But why? Well, I'd like a photo of you. But why? Why do you want a photo of me? What is your reason for wanting a photo of me? Why do you suddenly want a photo of me? What is it? And he wouldn't tell me. But then I saw in his heart that he had a crush on me. Okay? And my friend, after I found out, when I reconnected with my friend that had been blocked from me, my friend told me that this guy is messing around with so many girls and he's just going from girl to girl to girl to girl. And so I'm like, what on earth happened to him? What happened? He literally, he literally came out of the Bible. What I'm trying to say by that is he was such a holy person. He was a very He was a very holy, very righteous individual, human being. Okay? That's what I saw in him. That's what I was able to see, guys. I'm able to see in people's souls. I can see that. I can see inside a person's soul the condition of their hearts. I can see it. So that's why I was confused as to why, hold on a minute, what's going on with you? That all of a sudden you were this way, you were so holy, and now you're asking for my photos, and what on earth? So then when my friend told me, I said, when she told me, he's been messing around with girls and some of them are pregnant, I'm like, what? This is insane. What happened to Terry? This is not the same Terry that we knew. It can't be. But my friend said, yes, it's the same one. And I'm like, to my friend, what happened to him? And she said, Nancy, I don't know what happened to him. Just suddenly one day, his attitude and his behavior just turned around. It changed just suddenly. And it's been, he never, my friend said he changed and he didn't go back to how he was. Right? She was telling me this at the time when we first, when I first found out about the news 5 years ago. She said he turned into this other person and he didn't go back. And still today, 5 years later, he has not turned his life around because the police are still looking for him. And they still haven't found him. So maybe he left the country. Who knows where he is? I don't know where he is, guys. But also, let me mention something else. When I say that I can see inside a person's soul, I'm going to make something clear to you, okay? God gave me the ability to know the exact condition of a person's soul. But there will be moments when he will hide certain things from me. That's why I was not able, I'm not always, there will be times when I'm not always able to tell 100% of what's going on in that person, and then it will be revealed to me either through him or through other people. Okay, but normally I can tell exactly what's going on in a person's soul. So yeah. So guys, what I was getting to at the very beginning of my when I was starting to talk, the title was, obey what God tells you. Otherwise, something bad could happen. When God told me, Nancy, you must not host Terry should he ever come to Canada. That means if I had disobeyed him by, for example, paying Terry's way to Canada and then hosting him, I wasn't going to host him in my house, but I was going to host him somewhere. I was going to put him up somewhere. Right? Had I paid his ticket to Canada, hosted him, and put him someplace in a hotel or whatever, rented out an apartment for him, eventually his dark side would have affected me and others. So that's why God said, Nancy, you must not host Love should he ever come to Canada. So in the event that he would come to Canada, I was not to associate with him or to put him in my house. Not that I was going to, or host him someplace else. No. Okay, guys, it's at 28 minutes. Let me stop this because my camera stops recording every 30 minutes, and I'll be back.